Hi everybody, in today's really short video I'm going to show you how to sketch the graph of a function which is given by this notation or definition. If you look at this function, it's a one-to-one rational function with absolute value, and to draw or sketch the graph of this function we basically know that the parent function of our function is a function which is given like this. Okay, we already know that the graph of our parent function should look like something like this, and we know that there are two important lines in this graph, and this is our vertical and horizontal asymptote, which in this case is x-axis and y-axis. Okay, during our last lessons we have learned, and as we already know, there are a couple of transformations applied for our function f. And as we already know, the main thing how to sketch the graph is to find out where these asymptotes are moved. Before I go to find out the asymptotes, the next thing I want to say, we will try first to draw or sketch the graph of the function 5x take away 3 over 5 take away 3x. Because if we are able to draw this graph, then it's very easy, and we know that if we apply the transformation absolute value of our f of x, it would mean that we will just flip all the lines of the graph which are below x-axis in the symmetry above the x-axis. So let's go and let's try to sketch this graph. We already know that we have to find the equation for our, let's say the first one will be vertical asymptote. I will just shortly denote it vertical asymptote, which is given by equation as this is vertical asymptote, it must be x equal, which means we have to find the domain of this function, and it's gonna be just to find the number, because basically asymptote is here only the number. It would mean that we have to solve this equation 5 take away 3x equals 0, which means negative 3x equals negative 5, which means x must be equal to 5 over 3. So this is our first asymptote. Then we have to find out what the horizontal asymptote is, and our horizontal asymptote is, when we have a look on this equation or on this definition, we know already that the general form of linear to linear function is given in the form ax take away b over cx plus b, and plus d. So our horizontal asymptote is given by, we can simply say by formula y equals a over c. So in our function, a is equal to 5 and c is equal to negative 3. So our horizontal asymptote will have the equation y equals 5 over negative 3, which is negative 5 over 3. And now, as we know this information, we can simply sketch the graph of our function given here. It means we sketch our xy plane, Then let me draw the asymptote with the green color. So it means our vertical asymptote goes through, and I need some points here. Let's say here is number 1, here is number 2. This is enough because 5/3 is 1.6 periodic, which means I said green asymptote will be like it's 3/3 is here, so we divided it into 3 parts. So here is our point. We sketch or draw the vertical asymptote. Horizontal asymptote is -5/3, so here is -1 and here is -2, so our asymptote will go somewhere or something like that. Okay, now I explained to you that it's a good manner if you want to sketch the graph of our function. It's good manner to find the intercept with the x-axis and y-axis. Intercept with the x-axis would be as y equals 0, so the question is why when this equation is equal to 0, and it is when the numerator equals 0, so it's gonna be negative, no, it's gonna be 3/5, and intercept with the y-axis, x must be 0, and if x is 0, then it's gonna be negative 3/5. Okay, because if I put instead of x 0, this term and this term will be gone, and the remaining number is negative 3/5. Okay, so we have the intercepts. Let's put them into the chart, which means px is 3/5, which is somewhere here. We have our px. Okay, it's not like 3/5, it's little bit somewhere here, and intercept with the y-axis is 0, x is 0, and we have negative 3/5, which is somewhere here. Okay, so now we can see that our function will be not like this, but instead of this, as we have here 2 points, our function must go this way. Okay, and the second part of the graph must go somewhere like something like here. Why is it so? Because if you would try to fix or rearrange this fraction so that you have only x in the denominator, you will find that there is negative x, which is, as we already have learned, transformation that flips the chart over the y-axis. So if we have something like this, it means it will be flipped this way. Okay, but simply you don't have to understand this, because when you find these two intercepts, it will exactly tell you where our hyperbola is situated. Okay, so this is it, and now there is only the last thing missing, and the last thing is that we will apply absolute value for this function. So for this I'll use this super special trick here. So I made a copy paste. Okay, we don't need this information, and it means if we want to apply the absolute value for this function, as it was explained before, a couple of minutes before, it means everything what is under the x-axis will be simply flipped, and the axis of symmetry will be our x-axis. So let's have a look what will happen. But the thing is like really very clear and easy to do, because what is also be gonna flipped is our horizontal asymptote, which now goes through the point -5/3. So if you flip over x-axis, and let me draw number 1 and number 2 again, so my new horizontal asymptote will pass through point +5/3. So this is my new asymptote when flipped, okay? And my vertical asymptote, of course, will remain at the same place. So these are my new asymptotes. What will happen is that this part of the graph will be flipped up, but you have to consider the orientation or how it will go. So basically, let me just use the purple, and I'll use a little bit thicker stuff. So this part of the graph will remain the same. Basically, you can help yourself by moving this point, which is -3/5, and flip it to the upper part or above the x-axis. But the important thing is to consider that as it is approaching to the asymptote here, it must be approaching to the asymptote here, or you can simply just make quick thing and make the point being here. What I want to say is that you cannot draw this part of the graph like this, because it's not true. It's not gonna be symmetric via x-axis. You have to be really careful and draw the chart or draw this part of the graph like this, okay? And there is one more thing remaining, but if you think about this part of the graph, it's simple. The whole graph or the whole part is transformed here. So basically, this is our given function y equals absolute value of 5x take away 3 over 5 take away 3x in absolute value. Okay, so this is our graph. Okay, and let's do the final check. I have already prepared the graph in our favorite tool, which is Desmos, and I'll just make the copy and paste of the graph so that you can really see we are right. And I'm also sending you okay, so this is our result, and if you have a look on the result from Desmos, it's exactly the same thing. Okay, so this is basically it. Thanks for watching and enjoy.